With question marks surrounding the quarterback room, the wide receivers are going to have to get open against Mississippi State.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePick. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. So today we are going to run through the most substantial, important matchups on the field when the Aggies face off with the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And the first one I have listed here is the wide receivers versus the Mississippi State secondary. And the reason I think this is so important, in all honesty, is because I still have this feeling that we might not see Max Johnson on Saturday. I don't have any more information than y'all have. The only reason I feel this way is just based on how injury reports have gone this year. Well, we might see him, he's day-to-day, and then they don't play. I have a feeling that us Aggie fans need to start getting mentally prepared to see Jalen Henderson out there slinging the ball. So, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Max is healthy and good to go and he's out there. But if he's not, Henderson's going to, go out there and he played in a handful of games at Fresno State. But besides that, it's like he hasn't really done much as a college quarterback. So this is going to be a learning experience for him if he were to go. So the receivers are going to have to help out the quarterback room. And whether it's Reed, whether it's Max Johnson, whether it is Henderson, got to help this group out. And once again, what's the deal with Evan Stewart? Is he going to be good to go? You got Johnny Walker looked good. I mean, you got some talented players, obviously we know, but will Evan Stewart give it a go? Someone might have to step up in this game. If that's Johnny Walker, step up again, have another big game, another 100-yard game, that'd be great. Whoever it is it Moose? Is it Anias? Noah? I don't care who it is, but someone is going to have to help out this quarterback room, because if you don't, seriously, legitimately, if you don't, you could lose this game with the Jalen Henderson. I've talked about my confidence levels very high, even with Jalen Henderson out there, and it is. But this game does become more losable if you don't have Max Johnson in there, because you are bringing in the guy who has not done this before. Now, I think the defense alone can carry you to a win in this game, but I think you'd still have to score 14 points maybe. Now, it'd be great if some of those came from the defense, but you're going to have to score some sort of points to win this game, which I think Henderson can do. I mean, I think if nothing's there, he can run away with the football. Everything I've heard is he's been okay. He's going to be fine. But the wide receivers need to help out this quarterback room, because if they don't, this could be concerning, and you could lose a football game that you should never in a million years lose, and really send this season into a true worse downward spiral than it already has. The next thing I have is the Texas A&M defensive line versus the offensive line of Mississippi State. We talked about yesterday how the offensive line of Mississippi State has allowed some sacks against their quarterbacks, but not like a ton. So the offensive line is okay. They're fine. This defensive line, like I said, I'm planning as if we're not going to have Max Johnson, and if we have Max Johnson, great. But the defensive line, I think that is going to make or break this entire game, because I think that the Mississippi State receivers, while they might not be the best in the world, they can still get open on this rough Texas A&M secondary. So this defensive line has to get sacks, has to get pressure, And you could say, once again, I always say defensive line. You could say front seven. You could say whoever's blitzing. But I think you've got to get pressure all game long, and that's going to lead to mistakes. If you get pressure, you're in the quarterback space. Once again, we don't know who it's going to be for Mississippi State. It's at the time of this recording. If that changes today, I'll let that in the comments. But there's 3 guys it could be. It could be Mike Wright. It could be the guy that came in for Mike Wright. It could be Rodgers. We just don't know at this point. So it'll be interesting to see who's out there slinging it for Mississippi State. This is going to be a weird football game, to say the absolute least. A weird football game. But the defensive line getting some pressure is going to be very important in this game. Then I have Texas A&M's offensive line versus the front seven of Mississippi State. The Texas A&M offensive line is going to need to step up in this game, because if you do have we want them to step up regardless of who's quarterback in the Aggies. But if you have Henderson in there, you need this offensive line to make him feel comfortable, to give him some time, or else he'll make a mistake. I mean, he will. Like we talk about Max Johnson, is like he could make a mistake. Henderson, he will make a mistake if he's getting the same pressure that Max Johnson deals with on a week-to-week basis. It's just, it's not going to be easy to come in and play an SEC football game like this and come in and play an SEC football game like this and be ready to go and be, and not make mistakes if there's someone in your face. And I think there's going to be people in his face if this offensive line can't give him time. That's going to be a massive key in this football game. You got to give him time in the pocket. If he has time in the pocket, I'm really not concerned. Truly, if he has time in the pocket, I think that Texas A&M can still win this game with Henderson. I think they can win it with Max Johnson. I think they can maybe win it with Marcel Reed. But it's still, at the end of the day, you're going to have to make sure you give him the time he needs in the pocket, or he'll make a mistake, and this could get ugly quick. I have coaching staff listed here. I won't go crazy in depth on this, but what I kind of mean is I think assuming that you are going to see Henderson out there, I think Coach Petrino and Coach Fisher need to make his life easier with some early, easy throws to kind of ease him in to college football, SEC football. So some of those easy throws, little tight end screens or check downs or 5-yard slants, stuff like that, to get him some quick completions. They always say when you listen to a broadcast, the quarterback needs to get settled in, get him a throw, get him settled in. He's been struggling, get him dialed in, stuff like that. And I think the coaching staff needs to do a good job of making sure he has some of those throws that he's comfortable making. And that's a good way to kind of get him going early. And then at the end of the day, whoever is out there playing quarterback, whether it's Henderson, whether it's Max Johnson, you got them versus the secondary is another big matchup in this game. They have to make good decisions. They can't. If you turn the football over, that is going to be when you lose this game. If you continually turn the football over, you're going to give them an opportunity, because generally, we talked about it, turnovers oftentimes lead to good field position, lead to returns for touchdowns, lead to lots of things you don't want. So, the key here is going to be to take care of the football, game manage. We talk about some games you need your quarterback to be a game manager. Some games we need your quarterback to go out there and be a guy who's going to throw for 350 and 4. This is a game where you just got to be a game manager. You just got to be okay, just okay, and the Aggies can win this football game. So whichever guy's out there, you just got to be okay. The last thing I have for segment 1, we have a whole bunch more matchups in segment 2. The last thing I have in segment 1 is the running backs. Will Le'Veon Moss be out there? Once again, I lean toward no. The verbiage on his injury changed. It was, oh, well, it won't need surgery, but we don't know when we're going to see him. And then it was, well, he's day to day. I don't feel great about him being out, about Le'Veon Moss being out there. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Max Johnson's out there. Y'all don't take this as I'm being a negative person. I'm saying I hope these people are out there, but we got to plan as if they're not, and plan for both things, if they're out there and if they're not out there. So so the running backs, that means some of these other guys are going to have to step up. I'd love to see Ruben Owens have a game where he gets his yards per carry up, where he looks better running the football yards per carry wise. But this running back room is going to have to help out. Once again, help out the quarterback, whoever it is, get some yards, long runs, touchdowns, help him out so he has to do less, things when he's settling into playing SEC football. We're going to talk about why Edgerrin Cooper is a big matchup in this game and the scary things he might do in this game coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. First, we're going to talk about our wonderful friends over at Jace Medical. Jace Medical is one of the most interesting new products on the market. Came about in 2020 during the pandemic. They offer two products. They offer the Jace case and they offer Jace Daily. The Jace case gives you 5 antibiotics that are going to help you in a pickle, help you in a pinch, or just help you around the house whenever something calls for it. It's a really helpful product whenever you need some antibiotics to help you with whatever's going on. And then Jace Daily offers you a year supply of your medicines, whatever it is, whatever medicine you need for whatever reason that whether it's a daily medicine for you, something you take, you can have this supply so that if something were to happen, if there's a supply chain issue, you can't get in touch with your doctor, you still have access to your medicines. I love the thought of this product. I love the idea around this product. Go check out Jace Medical. I promise you won't regret it. If you or someone you love would get some peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily med, go to jacemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase at jacemedical.com. That is promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase at jacemedical.com. So on to some more important matchups in this game. And the one I have here is Edgerrin Cooper versus the Mississippi State quarterback, whoever it is. I do want to lay this caveat out there. Whoever is the Mississippi State quarterback in this game, I'm sorry. I am sorry for what Cooper is going to have to do after, the whole thing with the butt kiss, semifinalist, watch list, whatever. Never seen a bigger snub in my life from an award. I mean, never in my life have I seen a more significant snub to a player. This is horrendous. And I think that, I joked yesterday and said he might have 17 sacks. I will tell you in all seriousness, I think he could have 3 or 4 sacks in this game. If I'm him, I'm out there to say, look, you were wrong, and I'm going to show you why you were wrong. Here I am. Here's who I am. And just continue to make his case. I mean, I'm angry about it. I know he's angry about it because Cooper voiced his anger, on Twitter, which is a subtle comment. I forget what it was, like a one word, like something like they're wrong, so, something like that. Whatever it was. Point being, Cooper's mad, and this is an incredibly awesome young man who deserves this award, who should be a finalist for this award. And I think he's going to go out there angry. He's going to go out there showing the world, hey, this is why you should have had me here. This is why you were wrong. And it's going to be a scary sight for the Mississippi State quarterback. I feel bad for him. I'm genuinely worried about him because Cooper is going to be head hunting in this game. I genuinely, if there was a way you could bet on over 3.5 sacks, I would go do it. I would go do it. I think he's going to do that because I just think he is incredibly angry, as he should be. The next thing I have here is Randy making his kicks. The reason this is important is in this game, we talk about we want touchdowns, not field goals. If for some reason it is Henderson out there, not Max Johnson, field points in any capacity are going to become more and more valuable. So, if a touchdown and 3 field goals from Randy, I think can win this football game. So, I want to see that. I want to see that play out. I want Randy to be able to make his kicks because I think that if you leave those points on the table, don't put them on the board, it's going to come back and hurt you in this football game because I don't know how many points they'll score with Henderson, but I know that you got to take advantage of every opportunity that you get to put points up on that scoreboard. So Randy has got to make his kicks in this football game. And then remember, ladies and gentlemen, last game, we are not angry at Randy. That kick. I don't know much about kicking. I've never kicked, never spoken to a kicker about kicking, but that kick was going in. It got blocked. It was going in. I know Coach Fisher said he should have kicked it an inch higher. I couldn't tell if he was kidding or being serious, but point is, like, I don't know. I don't know the trajectory of kicking. I don't know if that would how you do that without making it like taking the velocity out from under it. I don't know any of that, but we need to remember kickers are people too. Randy, he made a good effort at it. It was going to go in. It got tipped. It is what it is. So we need him in this. We need him this week. He has got to make him this week. So we got to let that one go. And the next thing, staying on the kicking trend, the next thing I have is Nick Constantino needs to have another. He punted better against Ole Miss. Punted better. A step in the right direction. His average was much higher than it had been on the year, much higher than it was the week previous to the Ole Miss game. So now you need to do that again, because the field position game, if you don't have Max, if Max is out there, I mean, you still want to win the field position game, but it's less important. If Max is not out there, field position, this is going to be a low scoring game. Field position is going to be incredibly important in this football game. So you got to make sure that if you're Nick Constantino, you are pushing Mississippi State deep. I don't believe in their ability to sustain drives. I don't believe in much of any of that from Mississippi State. So if they're starting each drive around their 20, their 10, their 5, their 25, I don't think they're going to be able to sustain many drives. If they're starting around their 30, their 35, their 40, I think they could have a couple drives where they get it and get some field goals, get some points, or break a long play for a touchdown. So the field position game will be important here. We're going to need to see Nick Constantino punt the ball well, continue kicking it well like he did against Ole Miss, continue that success into this football game like we have been asking for all season long. The last matchup I have listed here is the secondary versus the Texas A&M secondary versus the wide receivers of Mississippi State. I have every confidence in the world in the front seven to be able to dominate against the offensive line and all that. I think they'll be able to get sacks, be able to get pressure. But on plays where they don't, on plays where they do something, a quick out, something like that, the secondary needs to be able to tackle, and then the secondary is going to need to be able to cover if they do try to run some things downfield. So Texas A&M secondary is going to have another good game. Oh, not another. I mean, not another good game, because last week wasn't a good game, but they're going to have a good game. Cover for a while. I think that the pressure in this game will help to where they don't have to be covered all that long against the wide receivers of Mississippi State. But, I mean, it's going to be a key to victory. It's going to be a takeaway. It's going to be a trend all the rest of the season. The Texas A&M secondary is going to have to stop people if the Aggies want to win this game, if they want to beat LSU, and if they want to beat whoever they play in their bowl game. The secondary has to play good football. We are going to talk about Texas A&M's basketball game against Ohio State. We'll preview that a little bit, talk about my thoughts, what I'm concerned about, what I feel good about, and we'll do that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. First, we're going to talk about our wonderful friends over at PrizePick. PrizePick is the best place to go do your daily prop bet fantasy sports betting. They have all sports. They have football. They have everything you could want. They have basketball, baseball, anything you could want to bet on. PrizePick has it. What I like about it is that I always dislike when you're betting and you have to do you're betting against people who are betting's their whole life. It's what they do. They do it for a living. They're the sharps. They're the sharks, whatever you call them. They are serious business. You're not going against those guys whether it was like, a daily fantasy thing. You are going against yourself. You are going against yourself. I mean, you are making 2 to 6 picks, up to 25 multiplier on your money, going against yourself, just trying to predict higher or lower on players, over or under. It's all you're trying to do. PrizePicks is a ton of fun. I use it. I love it. I highly recommend it. It just makes watching football, baseball, basketball, whatever you enjoy, that much more fun. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Once again, that's prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and promo code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. So, talking about this basketball game against the Ohio State Buckeyes of the Big Ten, all kidding aside, Ohio State, I am not a fan. Not a fan of the Big Ten, not a fan of Ohio State. Here's an opportunity to send them home crying. But Ohio State opened their season at home against Oakland and won 79-73. They in this game they out rebounded Oakland. I don't know what's Oakland's mascot. The Bears? Are they the Bears? Beside the point. I was going to say out rebounded the Bears because that's what the picture is, but I don't know if that's the mascot. Beside the point. We're going to assume it's the Bears, but we're not going to say it anymore. So out rebounded them 42-30. The Ohio State assisted on a bunch of baskets. So like it was a good portion of their baskets. There was an assist, which means to me that says good ball movement. They were good from the free throw line, 24-30. So you don't, and that's a lot of free throws. You want to be disciplined. Don't foul. Don't let them get to the free throw line. And then they also had 4 steals and 3 blocks in this game. So steals and blocks lead to runouts. So you need to make sure that if they are to steal a pass, if they are to block a shot, that you are running because they are going to try and run out after that. Let's run through some other numbers. They shot 46.2% from the field, 28% from 3-point land, 7 for 25 from deep. 44 rebounds, like I said, 13 of those were offensive rebounds. They did allow 11 offensive rebounds to Oakland, so that is another thing to remember in this game. Like I said, 14 assists on 24 made field goals. That's a lot. That's impressive. 4 steals, 3 blocks. They did have 13 turnovers, and they did have 17 fouls. But they drew 29 fouls. Because Oakland had 29 fouls. So they draw some fouls. You got to make sure that you're careful with them. You got to make sure that you're not doing anything crazy. You're playing the game the right way. You're getting in position correctly. So that is kind of what we've seen from Ohio State in their season opener. Now, it's not a large sample size, it's one ball game. But so what this to me feels like a veteran game. You're playing on the road against a team, Power 5, Power 6 in basketball. Power 6 basketball team at their place on the road. A ranked team's coming to town. They're going to have fans rowdy. People are going to be loud. People are going to be yelling. People are going to be excited. This is a game where you just have to go. You have to, hey, we're an older team full of old transfers, players that have been at Texas A&M for a while, players that have played for Buzz for a while. Go in and play a good game. This is a game where I think you could see Boots Radford or Wade Taylor kind of be the guys and really help this team kind of, the older guys. It's an old Texas A&M team, as we talked about. So I think that seeing the older guys help maybe some of the young guys, some of the transfers ease into this game is going to be helpful. And the way you can do that is lead by example. Go out there, be calm, collect, get to the free throw line, make your jump shots, make your free throws. Don't leave points on the board. Don't turn the don't turn the basketball over. Run out on defense, run out on offense. Do the little things that lead to victories on the hardwood. I think the Aggies win this game. It's going to be a fun one. I'm excited to watch this one. This game is, of course, Friday night at 6 o'clock on Peacock. So that's interesting on Peacock. I'm going to have to figure that out. I have Peacock, but do you have the live TV Peacock? I don't know. We'll have to find out. So, but this will be a fun game, a good test. Listen to the rest of this month for the Aggies. Ohio State, SMU, Oral Roberts, who was good last year. I know they lost a lot, but, I'm sure still over a fine mid-major basketball team. Penn State, and then Virginia. That is not the average month of November for a basketball team. So the Aggies are going to get tested. If you could leave this month, how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you could leave this month 5-1, 6-0, somehow that would be really cool to see. None of these teams are ranked, but they still are, some high mid-major, some Power 5 teams mixed in there. A good team in Virginia. So you need to make sure that you are being careful, that you're playing good basketball. Some of these games on the road, you got to be ready to go to start the basketball season strong, because at the end of the day, these are the games that matter when it comes to seeding, when it comes to winning in March. That is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you so much for tuning in every single day. I really do appreciate it. It means the world to me. On tomorrow's episode of Locked On Aggies, we will break down the keys to a victory for the Aggies over the Mississippi State Bulldogs. We'll run through that. We'll run through some different things on that game, talk about some bowl predictions, talk about some fun things on tomorrow's episode. I know we would normally be doing a crossover today. We do not have a Locked On Mississippi State host, so it's just me breaking down this ball game. We will have a crossover for the LSU game. That's going to do it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day today, and we will see you tomorrow.